The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "The kingdom of heaven is like a net thrown into the sea, which collects fish of every kind. When it is full, they haul it ashore and sit down to put what is good into baskets. What is bad, they throw away. Thus it will be at the end of the age. The angels will go out and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. Do you understand all these things?" They answered, "Yes." And he replied, "Then every scribe who has been instructed in the kingdom of heaven is like the head of a household who brings from his storeroom both the new and the old." When Jesus finished these parables, he went away from there. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Beloved brothers and sisters, what is the opposite of Catholic? Perhaps many of you will say the opposite of Catholic is Protestant. The opposite of Catholic is not Protestant. All Christians, believers and followers of Jesus, whether Protestants or Roman Catholics, characterize their faith as Catholic, one, holy, and apostolic. The word Catholic means universal. The word Catholic means wide. It speaks of a universal embrace. The word Catholic speaks of inclusivity. This is important to keep in mind because the opposite of the word Catholic then is not Protestantism. The opposite of Catholic is narrowness, pettiness, a lack of openness to the old and the new, a certain sectarianism, factionalism, fundamentalism, and ideology. That is why Pope Francis emphasizes there is room for all people of goodwill in the Catholic Church. And then he adds, because the Spirit who inspires diversity in the Church is the same Spirit that promotes unity in the Church. This being said, being Catholic means we are comfortable with differences of opinions. We are comfortable with difference in approaches. We are comfortable in differences of expressions, as long as we are men and women of goodwill. We are men and women of dialogue. We are men of women with good hearts. This being said, to my mind, the definition of the word Catholic comes from Jesus himself. Jesus says, "In my Father's house there are many rooms." In speaking thus, Jesus is not speaking about a palace in the sky. He is not speaking about a mansion up above. He is speaking about the heart of God. When St. John, in his 14th chapter, verse 2, talks about Jesus saying, "In my Father's house there are many mansions, there are many rooms," he means God's heart is so big that it can accommodate all people of goodwill. It can accommodate differences. My dear brothers and sisters, God's heart has many rooms. God's heart can embrace everyone. It is wide, it is open, it is inclusive. It is a heart that does not exclude anyone. It does not divide things up according to ours and theirs. Nikos Kazantzakis, the great Greek author, once wrote, "The bosom of God is not a ghetto." That's another way of saying God has a Catholic heart. God has a heart that is universal, inclusive, wide. To affirm this, however, is not to say that since God is open to all, embraces all, therefore nothing makes a difference now. That we can do as we want. That all morality is relative. That all beliefs are equal, and now nobody even lays claim to truth. Now that is not true at all. Jesus belies this today in the parable that we have just read, the parable of the net. If you were listening closely, the parable tells us that the kingdom of heaven is like a net thrown into the sea, which collects fish of every kind. No exclusions. Fish of every kind. And so, we see, he affirms the universal embrace of God's love and the inclusivity of his invitation. But, he also says that as a consequence, not everything is okay, because the net brings all type of fish, which the gospel continues are later classified. They are later segregated. It says here the good are put into baskets while the bad is taken away. What has this to do with us today? Today, in society and in the church, we are seeing the growth of intolerance. We are seeing the growth of narrowness of mind and pettiness of heart. We see the increasing number of people who have a heart with just one room. The way they understand being Catholic is the only way to be Catholic. The way they celebrate Mass is the only way to celebrate Mass. The way to dress at Mass is the only way to dress at Mass. The characteristic of this mentality that we see today, this fundamentalism, which seizes some good fundamental value and then makes that the sole criterion of being authentic. It makes it the sole criterion of being good. It is the sole criterion of being authentic. It is the sole criterion of sanctity. What are these things? The traditions of the past, the centrality of the scriptures, the importance of the liturgy, religious garb, priestly garb, which are all beautiful and good in themselves, unless we do not make any one of them the only criterion to be a good Catholic. This is the problem today. In this sense, the heart of a fundamentalist, which is growing even in the church, this narrowness, pettiness, over little things blown out of proportion, as if this were the only thing needed for salvation. They have hearts with one room. And they judge you as good. They judge you as acceptable. They judge you as decent and sincere and authentic if you are in that room. If you are not in that room, then you are insincere, you are ignorant, you are in need of reform, you are even heretical if you do not agree to be in that one room that they have constructed as the sole criterion of being a good Catholic. This is the parable's concealed trap today, my dear brothers and sisters. We should not take upon ourselves the task of segregating people, classifying people, excluding people lalo na, eliminating people, and labeling people, because this is not our work. Read the gospel again. It says in verse 48, the holding of the net and the segregation of its contents are done by an unnamed character referred to as they in the gospel. Who are they? They are not human agents. At the next verse, Jesus says, the angels will go out and separate the wicked from the righteous. We are not angels, are we? We are human agents. Therefore, it is God's action that judges. It's none of our business. Ours is to include. His will be to segregate at the end of the age, as the gospel puts it. So, dear brothers and sisters, we should be very careful of this growing mentality, even in the church, even in society, wherein we label people, we eliminate people, we classify people according to our one room. And if we do not enter that room, kawawa tayo, therefore we are heretics, we are not good Catholics, we are not good religious. The heart of God has many rooms. This is an embrace and a welcome for everyone. And this is not a call to be spineless. It is not a call to be wishy-washy, relativists who naively affirm everything is permitted. No. All is okay. No. Like Christ, we must discriminate between right and wrong. Yes. But it is none of our business to exclude people. To end, my dear brothers and sisters, I am personally in contact with some people who are members of those who are in the LB, how do you say that? LBD, that group of people, no? And I asked them, how can the parish be of service to you? How can the parish help you? How can we as a community, as priests, help you in your spiritual life? This is the spirit of being Catholic. Who are we to judge anyone? I'm not saying they're wrong or they're right. No, that's none of our business. We exclude people. That's not our work. Our work is to be Catholic. Include everyone. Everyone. People who are sincere. People who have goodwill. It is God's business to segregate.